Thanks for joining us in the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, and it's always fun and informative when Chris Sims joins us on the Videocast podcast, and he brought his A game. There's no doubt about that. He talked about his visit with Joe Burrow in the offseason, where it was quarterback play at the highest level from a discussion standpoint about technique, mechanics that you'll ever find. It's a great listen and watch. There's no question about that. Talking about the Bengals overall, what their prospects are for the season, and then other storylines around the NFL that are of interest to Chris Sims as they embark upon another NFL season at NBC. And then finally, the New York Giants, the Bengals' next opponent in preseason game number 2. He lives in that area. His dad, Phil, was a great quarterback, obviously, with the Giants. The Sims family knows of the New York Giants and everything about them. Going to get a lot of good insight and information from Chris Sims. Thanks for joining us in the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, as always, coming from our outstanding studios. And what an outstanding guest we have today, because the NFL is upon us. Preseason game number 1 in the books. Preseason game number 2 fastly approaching. So it's time to talk to a football mind. Chris Sims is a football mind. Great player himself, now a tremendous broadcaster. And if you have any questions about football, this is the guy you go to. Appreciate you joining us, sir.
Oh, always great to talk ball with you, Dave. I appreciate that. I don't know about a great quarterback, but I'm doing good in this end of my career for sure. Maybe this is where I was meant to be. I love football. I got a big mouth. It all works out well here in this business. That's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you, man. Nobody does more homework than you do. You definitely research. There's no doubt about it, and I appreciate your knowledge.
Thanks, buddy.
You had an unbelievable podcast with Videocast podcast with Joe Burrow when you came to town to catch up with Joe Burrow. And it was, if you're a young quarterback, I highly recommend that you watch what these guys are talking about and demonstrating. It is unbelievable. It's must-see video and audio for any aspiring young quarterback. What was that like, having that session together?
Amazing. It really was. I mean, I'm just first off, I'm a huge fan of Joe Burrow, the person. I really am. I mean, just the way he conducts himself, the confidence he exudes that, trickles to the rest of the football team, even some of the things that he's put himself out there and some social issues. I respect the guy a whole lot. He's, wise beyond his years. And then, you get into the football player. And man, oh man, do I love watching Joe Burrow play football. I mean, he's the natural, in my opinion. He was born to play quarterback. He was born to lead. So just being able to get the chance. And then, hey, you know how it is, Dave. Sometimes some of these guys, they reach superstardom and they don't want to spend time, or extended period of time with anybody in the media. And I understand that. They always got everybody reaching at them and grabbing at them and, hey, talk to me. And the fact that he was willing to really let me hang out all morning and then, take a good 30, 45 minutes with me, talk. I got to eat some lunch with him and really get to know the guy. It was a great day and just made me even like him even more, really, when it was all said and done.
So what was your biggest take? Like you said, you really respect Joe Burrow, the entire person, but from a football standpoint, mechanics or whatever that may be, what was your biggest take coming away from the time you spent with Joe Burrow?
Yeah, I think the big thing, the first thing is, people always ask me, so what's he like? How would you describe it? And I just go, and it doesn't make sense, but, sometimes I say things that don't make sense that kind of make sense. It's like I'm like Yogi Berra of the football world here. He's got a humble cockiness about him that is very rare, where he's not a me guy. He's not anything like that. He's simple. He just wants to play football and go home and, eat the right foods and work out and do everything he's got to do that way, but has this air of confidence that you can just tell when he talks about himself or the team. It's like, well, I'm going to get it done. We're going to get it done. And, something that I got to fix, and then I'm going to fix it. I'm not just going to go, well, I'm Joe Burrow and I was the man at LSU and I'm the first pick. And if you don't like the way I am, that's an issue. So the first thing that just jumped out to me, and I think we talked about this a little bit before, Dave, was number one quarterback coming out for me and my quarterback rankings and all that.
Yep.
And the one negative I had was like, hey, I wish his arm was just a little stronger, just a little. Not that it was a concern for me, but, sometimes that little extra bit of strength in the arm is what takes a guy from being a really good quarterback to a superstar, a.k.a. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, those type of guys.
Yep.
So I noticed last year, I just went, wait, this guy's throwing the ball different than what I saw in college or in year one in the NFL. I just went, it's different. He's throwing the ball with more power, the ball spinning harder through the air, and the offense opened up because of it. And he was making more explosive plays with his arm rather than always timing and rhythm and going to the right place, with the ball and making all the mental decisions. And that was the first thing we got to really. And just, I admire the fact that he was able to evaluate himself like that and realize I got to change a little bit, and he said playing in the AFC North, the weather conditions, that was the first thing he was worried about.
Yeah,
you got to play in Pittsburgh and Cleveland and even there in Cincinnati, it gets windy at times, and you got to be able to throw the 20-yard out route to Jamar Chase. The coach doesn't give a crap if it's windy. Throw it in there, and so I really, that's where I got into it a little bit. And he talked about, the base of his legs, the core, the ability to create the opposites between the top and the bottom, and then even go back and just look at the motion itself. Look at his rookie year. His motion was kind of more vertical and vertical this way to where I noticed it last year right away to start the year. The motion was kind of going more horizontal, more across the body. And again, basic physics. If you want to throw the ball harder that way, the arm's got to go that way. It can't go from here to down to here and think, oh, wait, I'm going to throw it harder that way. Mm-hmm. So that's what we really got into. And I just found that fascinating that such a young guy, not too much of an ego, can make that type of correction, even though he's really been, God's gift to the world of football to this point. And that's why he's Joe Burrow, and that's why he's the man.
Yeah, I mean, you guys weren't talking football 101. You were talking football, doctorate degree level. I mean, it's great stuff in terms of the quarterback and quarterback play. The thing I respect about him too is, Chris, is this guy, okay, he's been knocked on his can a little bit. It's happened during the course of his career. He's seen the tough times, not just all attaboy, pat on the back, good time. So he appreciates, the good times and appreciates the hard work, like that confidence you talked about. It's an earned confidence because Urban Meyer said, nah, you're not the guy. He goes to LSU and overcomes that. And then his all through his professional career, it's been injury, knee injury, a dislocated pinky finger on a throwing hand, whatever. And then appendicitis. I mean, like you talked about how he was torquing that core and doing some different things with the core. Man, he had worked out so well. I mean, his body was a number. And this appendicitis took like 10 pounds away from him, and
yes, I see that.
It'll come back quickly, I think. And they're doing all the protein shakes and all that kind of thing, trying to help him get that back as quickly as possible. But he'll overcome it. And the first 7-on-7 drill that he had 2 days ago, they're off today.
Right.
He's dropping dimes. I mean, the only spot in cover two, the little porthole between corner and safety, boom, he's putting it right in there. Yeah. Over the defensive back's fingertips, into the receiver's hands right before stepping out of bounds. Boom, little porthole, putting it right there. His accuracy is unbelievable. How are quarterbacks as accurate as that, Chris? What do they have that make them that accurate?
Yeah, well, one is he's a machine with the mechanics. I think that's where you rely on the mechanics. Again, first off, we know he's naturally gifted. He's got a hand-eye ability that's special. So even if he didn't have the right mechanics, he'd probably still be a pretty accurate quarterback. But to be a machine in the NFL, you got to be a machine in your mechanics and be able to replicate that so easily every time to where, hey, even the day where you get out there and warm up and you're like, man, I don't have it today. Nobody really even notices because they're like, well, okay, the ball isn't hitting the guy on the right pec. It's hitting him on the left pec. Oh, no, he's off target today. So
Right.
I think that's where it gets into that. And yeah, I think that the positioning of the body, always making sure, really a good NFL quarterback should be able to make every throw at the top of their drop the same throw, right? I don't care if you're throwing 25 yards to the left, 25 yards to the right. When you get to the top of the drop and get set up to throw, your body should be in the same position every time. So it shouldn't matter. And I think he's kind of mastered that technique, let alone being smart, knowing where to go with the football, reading defenses. And then, like you just said, the cover 2 hole shot. Hey, the Chiefs game, hitting Jamar Chase on the left sideline, that was a cover 2 hole shot in the regular season last year. Those were things that I would say in year 1 or even at LSU, I'd go, I don't know if he'd really attempt some of those throws unless they were wide ass open. Excuse me for my language there. And, and so that's where it goes to another level. And that's where I get, again, hey, I know arm strength isn't the only thing, but it's very important. Really, you look through the test of the time, the greatest quarterbacks in the sport, other than maybe Joe Montana and a guy here and there, they had gifted arms. I mean, Tom Brady's not playing in year 22 because he's throwing wet noodle balls out there. I mean, I've caught passes from Tom Brady. I played against him. Brady's arm, yeah, it might not be Rodgers or Dan Marino or Brett Favre or Mahomes or Josh Allen, but it's the next level down. It's an all-time arm still, in my opinion. And that's where, Burrow is special. And that's where I had a lot of fun with him the day I was there, Dave, because, I've been around a lot of quarterbacks in my life. And sometimes, you play catch or whatever, and the quarterback doesn't really throw it. He's just kind of being nice, and we're talking on camera and whatever else. And he let a few go. And I just was like, oh, crap. Okay, yeah, here we go. I guess I got to get my hands ready here. And, seeing it on that end is also impressive. And I think, like I told you in the offseason, my first time really getting to watch him in person was the pregame warm-up for the Super Bowl. And I just went, wow. I mean, the guy, now when you master the mechanics and become that machine, that's when you can start to go, wait, my feet are cockeyed, but I still understand how to work my upper body with some pressure around me. And you can't really tell a difference in the fact that if I was in the perfect position or this cockeyed position, and I can still hit the 20-yard in cut coming across the middle. And that's where he's special. And that's life in the NFL now. Again, there's only a few quarterbacks in the league that have this perfect O-line, perfect pass protection. And that's why I made Burrow my number 4 quarterback, because I go, hey, the play behind that offensive line last year was special, what he did. He's amazing in the pocket. He's amazing outside the pocket. And then he can make those off-kilter throws. And I always try to explain to people, I go, listen, no disrespect, but there's no way Tom Brady can go to the Super Bowl with the Cincinnati Bengals team last year. There's just no way. And again, that's not a slap on the GOAT. The GOAT's the man. But here at age 45, he could not have brought that team and done some of the things that Joe Burrow did to move chains, make the throws under pressure, take the beating he took at times. And that's where, Burrow's just an absolute superstar.
You mentioned the off-platform, throws, and he was doing that in 7-on-7. He was testing that a little bit, just trying to get himself off balance, off platform a little bit, and seeing how he could. And he threw it well. I mean, it was really really an incredible scenario. The Bengals are blessed in my mind. If Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were on different teams, they'd both be number 1 receivers. I think the Bengals both have 2 number 1 receivers, but this group, the big 3 of Chase, Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, with Joe Burrow at quarterback, and he's a big part of this, there's no jealousy. They all get along. It's like you're all going to get your targets. To have that kind of harmony with 3 great receivers like that, how big a responsibility is it for the quarterback to kind of be the ringleader of that whole deal?
Well, yeah, I think, the great quarterbacks are just naturally good leaders, know how to relate to everybody in the locker room, just like Joe Burrow does. It doesn't matter who you are. Hey, you're the country white guy from Texas, Joe Burrow's your friend. Hey, you're the inner city guy from Chicago, Joe Burrow's your friend. He can talk to any group on the football team, and that's special. So that, of course, makes guys want to play for him. Oh, Joe's cool. He can relate to us and all that. And then I think also with receivers, and we know they could all be a pain in the ass because they all want the ball.
Yep.
But when they know the quarterback is not playing favorites and just going to do what the defense tells them to do and go to the right place to the ball, that's and work the system the right way. That's when everybody is like, hey, okay, great. This is awesome. We're all going to get our touches. They doubled Jamar Chase. He's not going to force the ball to Jamar Chase. He'll come to Higgins and Boyd. And to me, those are the great offenses in the history of football. You go through the Colts, right? It's Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and, Brandon Stokely. And there was never complaints because they knew Peyton was going to go to the right place to the ball. It wasn't playing favorites. It didn't matter. They knew Marvin Harrison was the best one, but they knew that the ball was going to go to the right place. Joe Montana, and John Taylor and Brett Jones at tight end. They knew the ball was going to the right place. Yep. And that's where the great offenses really come together and gel that way. And that's where I just see the Bengals as being special because there doesn't seem like there is like those egos that you're talking about. They want to win. They want to ball. They want to be in the big games and all that. And that's why, I started calling them the big play Bengals like week 4 on Football Night in America last year because I just went, it's unreal. They can just make plays when they need to, let alone they can run the system. And that's when you become a special offense.
Do you think the Bengals as a football team, what's your take, on the Bengals? I mean, repeating and going back to a Super Bowl is extremely difficult. I mean, the first 2 Super Bowl appearances the team had in the Super Bowl 16 was part of that team. The very next year, we get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs that we participated in. The New York Jets and Freddie McNeil smoke us. We're done.
Right.
And then Super Bowl 23 that the Bengals participated in. The year after that, they go 500, don't even get to make the playoffs. They lost 5 games by a touchdown or less. They were a good team in every game, but it's so hard to do it again. Where are you with respect to this football team? Do you see the Bengals as at least a repeat playoff team kind of deal, or how do you see them?
I do. I don't look at last year and go, oh, we're going to have a big letdown. I look at it more of like a jump off, almost like Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes and company, where it's just the team, the city, it's just like, let's go. It's go time. And we got this special guy. They're not going to fall in this trap, I don't think, with this special guy at the quarterback position. Now, Can they get back to the Super Bowl? That's a whole different story, like you're talking about. The AFC's loaded, as you know. There's a lot of great quarterbacks. That's going to be tough. But I think the thing I like, first off, the roster is damn good throughout. I mean, there's really not a lot of weaknesses to look at. And then I think what also helps them out, and again, I'm hoping they know what they're in store for here. They're going to have a little bit of a bullseye on their back. Everybody, this, Dave, you played in the NFL. When you've been in the Super Bowl, you become the measuring stick the next year. And teams want to puff out their chest and, we beat the Bengals in week 2. They were the Super Bowl team, so maybe we can be it this year. And then, of course, when you're that team, you get studied a little extra harder by other teams. What did they do that made them successful? So everybody's got a little bit more of a feel for you all together. I'm hoping they're ready for that. The roster is good. Zac Taylor, I hope he gets them ready for that. I think he will. And then I think the other thing that helps them out is just a little bit of it always helps to me with an infusion of some new guys on the football team. It gives the team a little bit of a new life, a new year. Yep. When you keep the same team, sometimes it's like, okay, here we go. But now you got, Lyle Collins and a few new offensive linemen, and there's a little different energy. And, so the team has a new lifeline. And I think that could help out the football team in a lot of ways. Let's talk about some free agents on the defensive side of the ball, the draft picks and all that. So I'm hoping that all works out for the benefit of the Bengals. And really, I think I'd be surprised if it didn't.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that they're built, for not just a one-hit wonder. I think they're built for a good little run. But like you said, it's a lot different being the hunted rather than the hunter.
Yes.
It's a totally different dynamic, totally different role. There's no two ways about that. Preseason games, they are what they are. But the one thing that was a truism that proved itself again, the Bengals last year, from a self-destruction mode in terms of penalties, they had the second fewest penalties called on them and the fewest penalty yards assessed against them. So they were outstanding in terms of not hurting themselves, no self-destruction, making the opponent beat them. Well, in this first preseason game, 11 penalties, 104 yards. One of the penalties takes away a 60-yard run. Another penalty
Right.
takes away a
A
touchdown
holding
run.
on the right. Yeah.
Yeah. Another penalty takes down a touchdown run. Another penalty gives them a 40-yard pass interference. It's not just penalties, massive penalties. You know, I mean, the self-destruction was like, wow, stunning, startling. And again, it's not Joe Burrow and company. It's a totally different cast of characters, but it just proves once again, you know, you can't fumble a punt at the 21-yard line, give him a short
Right.
field. You
Sure.
can't have all those penalties. So at least the lessons learned about, you know, you don't beat yourself in the National Football League. That's a huge lesson to learn, isn't it?
It is. It's not easy. I think it's something that was kind of impressive about a young football team last year. They grasped that pretty quickly, and especially in a division with the Ravens defense and the Steelers defense, and the Cleveland Browns. I got to think it's harped on even more in that division because those are, especially the Steelers and the Ravens. I mean, they've been stealing the ball from offenses for the last 20 years. They've been doing it. So you're not going to get out of your division unless you can handle the ball the right way that way. They got a physicality element to them, the Bengals, that I really respect on both sides of the ball. And then, I think you kind of hit on it. Let's not jump or get worried quite yet. You guys had a lot of young guys playing in that first preseason game. I mean, when I turned on the film a little bit, I was just like, oh, damn. I mean, wait, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Wait, that guy's this number. Okay, all right. I'm trying to get my head around a lot of these rosters and new numbers and everything as well. And you start to realize, wait, these are guys that haven't played in the NFL. And there's a lot of college guys who, college football, as you can get away with a lot of crap. They don't referee the game quite the same way in the NFL. I think when you see someone where the starters get in, those will go away. And I just think between Zac Taylor coming from Sean McVay, coaching the offense, they know what to do there. Then Lou Anarumo and what he does on the defensive side of the ball. I'd be surprised if they were a reckless football team. I really would be.
Me too. I'd be totally surprised. I'd be stunned.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right.
Gotta get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.